Hi class, today we'll continue our text, The Keeping Quilt. Today we're going to focus on pages 10 through 13, and we're going to really focus on the character Carle. Okay. When my grandma Carle was born, Anna wrapped her daughter in the quilt to welcome her warmly into the world. Carle was given a gift of gold, flour, salt, and bread. Gold so she would never know poverty, a flour so she would always know love, salt so her life would always have flavor, and bread so that she would never know hunger. And again, we can see that they're using the same keeping quilt to hold the new baby. Carle learned to keep the Sabbath and to cook and clean and do washing. Married you'll be someday, Anna told Carle. And so there she is. It must have just been washed and it's getting ready to dry. Again, the quilt became a wedding hubba, this time for Carle's wedding to Grandpa George. So now Carle is an adult. In the previous page, she was a baby. Now we see her as a kid. Her mom is helping her, showing her how to correctly put the quilt up on the line to dry. And here we see Carle as a grown-up getting married. And again, there's that keeping quilt. Men and women celebrated together, but they still did not dance together. In Carle's wedding bouquet was a gold coin, bread, and salt. It seems to me that that's another tradition that this family has, giving the same kind of gifts whenever it's a special occasion like a new baby or a wedding. Carle and George moved to a farm in Michigan, and great-grandma Anna came to live with them. The quilt once again wrapped a new little girl, Mary Ellen. So now Carle and George, after they got married, now they had a baby. And again, the same keeping quilt is being used. What a great tradition. Guys, your question for today is, how did Carle use the keeping quilt? And I want you to remember, we saw Carle as a baby. We saw Carle as a kid. Looks like she's probably like 10. We saw Carle as an adult. Now we're seeing Carle even a little older for another reason. She's using the quilt. So there's actually 4 different ways that Carle used the quilt. So in your text response, make sure that you give evidence of all of those ways that the character Carle used the keeping quilt. Can't wait to read your responses.